Yo, YouTube, we back with another one. It's your boy Playboy Bishop. We back on the Recess Show. Today I got Brandon,
Yeah,
credit guru in the making. You feel what I'm
for
saying? Nah,
sure.
for real though. Today we here to talk about credit. He gonna be giving tips.
Yeah,
He gonna be dropping jewels, all that. So if you interested in credit, this video is for you. You feel what I'm saying? You gonna
right,
see by the thumbnail credit tips. You feel what I'm saying?
right.
So how you doing today, man?
I'm good, bro.
Yes,
I
sir, man.
appreciate the intro.
I
For
appreciate
real,
you,
for
man.
real.
I appreciate you, man.
Credit guru in the making for sure.
Nah, for facts,
That's
for
another
facts.
thing I want y'all to know. I'm not a professional at credit, but I'm just interested. When it comes to credit, I really know more than the average person. So I'm just gonna let y'all know everything I've been learning over the last couple years. I got
Yeah.
my credit up, so
And I just wouldn't bring anybody on my channel talking about credit. You feel what I'm saying? This somebody who's dedicated. He done sat in seminars, lectures. He done went across the world, talked to famous people that's doing this shit. You feel what I'm saying? So take his word when he tell you something, you feel what I'm saying? And if he don't know, guess what? He gonna learn about it, you feel me? So if you got questions, leave them in the comments.
yeah.
We gonna go over the comments, cause this ain't gonna be the only video. We gonna keep y'all coming with credit, cause this what the world need to know about. They not dropping this shit how they need to be dropping it, you feel me? Excuse my language, cause we on a different type of topic today. But
For real, this shit serious.
this what we on. This what we
For
on,
real.
you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is the stuff they didn't teach in school.
You feel what I'm saying?
They let you go get money out to go to school, to go to college, but the money that you could be spending to learn things that they don't teach in school is way honestly cheaper. A college degree in some cases,
Yeah, man.
a hundred
Shit costs a
thousand,
lot of money, man.
50,000.
Yeah.
But there's information you could get for $1,000 or $500 with the right person, like you were saying. So
exactly. So you want to spend money to make money in a real way. You feel what I'm saying? People don't understand that. They think they want to save money and not spend the money, and you got to spend that money in the right places to make more money.
yeah.
So my first question for you is, for real, is when did you get started on this journey? Like, what made you want to get into credit? Because there's a lot of people that they just
Yeah.
clueless about this. So like, what made you be
Shit.
like, let me do this. I know this what I need to do.
2019, man.
Mhm.
I was working in Hilton Head,
Yeah.
and my boss, me and him wasn't, getting
Seeing eye to eye.
yeah for a while. And then one Friday, I had two bosses actually, and the first one went on a vacation out of nowhere and called me and was like, "I pretty much want you to babysit your boss." And that's what I heard. He was like, watch over
Yeah,
Mike. But
yeah.
in my head, I'm hearing, you want me to babysit
My boss.
and I can't talk to him any type of way because of who he is. But I ended up having to because he was messing up. We was doing important work, and we got into it. But that was the day I quit, right? So I left, and I ended up getting a job like a week later. But when I went to go do my taxes, right, I'm waiting on a tax return because, like any other job,
Yeah, you gotta wait.
I worked at Little Caesars. I was a waiter before. I got tax returns.
So
So
got a couple of papers.
I went to Liberty Tax to get everything done, and I ended up owing $1,600 in taxes. And I just like you looked, like you looked at me. I looked at the lady. I said, "Oh, like
what?
I just didn't know exactly." Right, that was the moment right there,
Okay.
man. I started just going on Google, YouTube, like trying to understand taxes, credit. I was like, "Oh snap! Okay, you need a credit score, a good credit score at that, to get an apartment, to get a car, to get a better deal on your mortgage.
Okay.
Just all of these things that I know I'm gonna want eventually. So why not start learning about it?"
Yeah.
Internet,
Okay, so 2019, quit your job.
Yeah.
Was looking for a tax return. Went to Liberty Tax, seen that you owe $1,600, and that was like, all right.
That's
bump
never
that.
happened
Yeah,
before. I was
bump
like,
that.
"What?"
Let me see what's
I
up
don't
with this
know
credit
what's-
thing.
Yeah, I didn't know what was
Okay.
going on. I was pissed off. I was
Okay.
like,
That's how the journey started.
That's it
Okay,
right
okay,
there.
okay.
Like, sometimes you get mad enough. It's like, I'm gonna figure out what I need to figure out so this never happens again. Or if it does, I know it's coming. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Because it's not bad to owe taxes. We can get into that later too.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's not bad to owe taxes. But I wasn't expecting.
That's when
that.
you're in a different tax bracket or what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you owe taxes
you making some
and
money,
you
right
understand that you
Yeah.
owe, you're prepared to pay that bill, you probably made some good money
Well over
during
good
the
money.
year.
Yeah.
So
there. Yeah. So I got another question. Is there a difference between a credit score and a credit report?
yeah,
Yeah.
because
So,
the credit report
mm-hmm.
is what creates the credit score.
Okay. So I knew that, but I just wanted to.
Oh yeah.
So what is the difference?
The difference is like basically when you look at the credit report, it'll tell you what your credit score might be. Like there's certain people, like, you know, I'm not able to do it, but there's people who can read your credit report and guess your credit score within 10 points because the credit report tells it all.
Okay.
You know, it's credit age. You know, you got the utilization, which is how much of your credit you're using. You know, utilization, use. That's how I remembered what that meant.
Okay,
you
so
know, there's
how
all
do
these
you
different factors.
Say somebody was like low in credit, how would they start to build on their credit, to fix their credit? Like what's step one to go about doing that?
Yeah, just really look at how many credit accounts you have, because there's certain accounts that report to your credit and certain ones don't. Like if you have a checking account in the bank, that doesn't report to your credit. You know, there's new, you know, laws and regulations coming out. Things might be changing soon about like your rent, for example. If you pay your rent on time, that actually might start reporting on your credit report and helping your credit. So if you're paying rent right now, look out for that new law. It's probably already happened, to be honest.
Well, y'all definitely need to get on that, because I no joke, but I know people
like,
be late on their rent.
Yeah,
so
make sure your name is on that lease, because if you're paying your rent on time, your credit could go up.
You know what I'm saying?
But
pay it a few days earlier.
Exactly. So really, you just want to have more accounts, right? So if you don't have any credit cards, if you don't have a car loan, if you don't have any sort of revolving credit like a TJ Maxx credit card, you know, something like that reports to your credit. If you don't have any of that, get some. You know, Chime, for example, that's a way to start. There's different cards that you can get.
Like the credit builder, they have that on Chime. I use that sometimes.
Exactly. If you go on Rent Reporters, for example, that's a website where you can backdate the rent you've been paying. So if you have nothing on your credit, you can go on Rent Reporters, make an account, you know, put all your information in, and actually backdate up to 3 years how much rent you've been paying, and that can report to your credit, building your age, your on-time payments, you know. So that's the main thing I would do.
You said that's what, Rent Report? What you said?
Rent Reporters.
Rent Reporters?
Yeah.
Okay. Just saying it again so the people out there catch it.
And besides adding accounts, you got to make sure that you don't have any existing negative marks, right? So like if you got a collection, if you have late payments on a credit card you already have or a car loan, you got to make sure that, one, you don't do that again, and you can get them off, but you have to go through a
all right. What about somebody who don't have credit cards and they don't do none of that other stuff, like they just starting out type thing? Really just check your bank relationships. If you don't have any bank relationships, you need to start a bank account yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like go down the street to the local bank. I don't know exactly where you live right now, but if you got a bank near you, if it's a popular bank like Chase or Regions, Navy Fed like especially Navy Fed, get a simple CPM.
Yeah, simple personal checking account, right? Put $100 in, because the way banks work, if you're not depositing money, they can't make money. Simple as that. They make money off of the money you deposit in there. You know, we can go into detail about that, but make a deposit, build a relationship with a bank, you know, and then credit will come down the line.
How do you maintain a good credit score once you get there?
Yeah, okay. Maintaining it.
How you do that?
You really want to make sure you know, like I said, the credit report. Not all of it is as important, but the main things you want to remember is payment history, right? Your utilization and your credit age, okay? Because your age is a combination of all of the credit you've had over the years. So like if you had a credit card in 2020 and now you just got another one, right? They're going to take the age of this new one, which is, you know, a month or whatever, a couple days. And then the other card that's 5 years old, they're going to add it together, average it out. So now your age will drop, right? So say you add on a credit card 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, that's going to drop your age, which is going to drop your score, right?
Damn it.
So be careful with that. You only need so many credit cards. If you're going to start getting credit cards, do it all in the same year, right? Because you'll get inquiries. You can get those deleted with the right methods, but you'll get a couple inquiries. You get a couple credit cards in the same year, they'll all age together. So now, 10 years down the line, if you had 3 credit cards back then, you got now 3 10-year-old credit cards, which is
good. That's good.
Really good for your credit score.
Okay.
Right? Your payments, obviously, make your payments on time.
Payments on time.
Okay. And your utilization, let's say, for example, you got a $10,000 credit card. Your utilization is what you're using off that. So if $1,000 limit is being used, that's 10%, right? You want to keep that at 10% or lower. You never want to have a utilization score of 30%, 40% higher, because now your credit score is just going to reflect that and go down. You know, the higher utilization, the lower your score. So really just pay attention to those 3 things. Keep those inquiries low.
What are some common credit ranges, and what do they mean?
Common credit ranges. So if you have let's just start at the top, an 800 credit score, you got excellent credit, right? But now when you hit about 720, 700, you got above average, but you know, you're not as good for, you know, insurance rate to be at like 2% or something like that, because that's where the good interest rates are. When you got an 800 credit score, you can get a loan or something like that, 2% interest. But now you're in the 720s, 700s, you can get a real good loan around 5.
Realistically,
7%.
how long does it take to get up there to 800? If you're like at let's say you had a 700, how long would it take you to get?
Man, the thing is, it's the system. You know, you have to do what's necessary to make that happen. It could happen in as little as 2 years, 1 year. There's people who have changed their credit score that much in 6 months.
Okay.
If you really go about this the right way with the right people, get your credit report cleaned, your score is going to reflect that. Like all of these things that we're talking about, you know, credit cards and car loans, they're going to put inquiries on your credit report. There's things like Metro 2, you know, you actually calling the credit bureaus and disputing all of these things that aren't really connected to any open accounts. That's going to make your credit score go up when you have no negative marks. You know, your age is good. Another way to get good age is authorized user. So say somebody has had credit, you know, grandparents, your parents have had a credit card since you were born or whatever. That means they have credit that is 10, 20 years old.
Yeah, maybe
you can
30.
Just hop on their credit. If they put you on their credit card as an authorized user, now the age they have reflects on your credit report. Score goes up.
Okay.
You know, it's really no 100% accurate way to get an 800 credit score or a 750, but these things we're talking about on the credit report.
So guess what? If you heard that right, make sure you start on yours today. So when you have churn, your credit will be good, and when they want to jump in, you feel what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's all it's about.
You feel what I'm saying? You gotta pass down the generational wealth in some type of way. I like that. That's what I caught from that.
For real.
That's what I got.
I'm being realistic about it. You know, people will tell you, you know, fix your credit in 90 days. And I mean, I'm not saying they're lying, but if you really want to make sure your credit is solid and it's yours and you're not piggybacking off of somebody else's, good year to 2 years, you can be in the 700s to 800s and stay there.
Okay. So if somebody got a whole bunch of like bad and negative stuff on their credit report, how do they clean that up? Like, how do they clear their credit report?
Like the main 2 ways that came to mind is, like I was saying, Metro 2, right?
Metro 2?
Metro 2 is a credit compliance, right? When you run your credit report through Metro 2, it speaks the same language as the machine that's checking your credit. You know? It's called eOscar. When people write letters, when people write letters to credit bureaus, you got Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Okay, yeah.
You can call all of those bureaus I just mentioned, and you can speak to the fraud department, and you know, there's specific scripts. Like I said, pay for certain information. You can know exactly what to say to get rid of these negative marks on your credit report, right? So other than actually calling them or handwriting or typing a letter yourself with laws that you've learned from the internet or whatever. Metro 2 is basically like AI. You know, AI can pull information from
anywhere.
Right. So imagine the letter, the dispute letter, to be specific, that Metro 2 will write after reading your credit report.
Okay.
And going, yeah, no, this isn't right. Code number said this.
And they're gonna write like
we
that.
needed it. And it's gonna be 16 pages long for one negative mark, and you got 5 marks. So imagine let AI do the work, right? Metro 2. So that is one way.
Remember Metro 2. Metro 2.
Look up Metro 2 compliance. You know, there's guys on Instagram like Haitian CEO. Definitely Haitian CEO, for example. That's my credit mentor. He does factual disputing. So you can get with him on Instagram and join the mentorship. I'll put a link under the video for that. Sir. You know, I got a
we'll
link
put his Instagram, all of that, so you can tap in.
Definitely get a mentor about credit, because you want to stay on game about how things are changing over time. You know, what I say today, it's gonna be different a year from now. You know,
that's why I tapped in early. As soon as I saw him doing it, I said, boy, I got to get next. I got to get in. You feel what I'm saying? So if you feeling like that, you got to get in. You feel what I'm saying? And learn. You feel me?
Yeah. One more guy I'd like to shout out, Mr. Phenomenal. Dion Copewood is his real name, but he is the first person that talked about Metro 2. He explained everything I just explained to you, and basically it's a AI credit compliance standard that writes letters that eOscar, when it reads it, will rightfully delete what's supposed to be deleted. When you write a personal letter or try to make your own, it can see the flaws in your writing, because you know you're human. You know,
definitely.
eOscar is a machine. You know, it's reading this and analyzing it in seconds. You know, people send in letters there's thousands and millions of letters going in. You think people have the time to really sit down and read? They're running these letters through a machine, right? eOscar needs
catching all of everything, all your
all your flaws and all of that, the typos. If you have a machine write a letter for a machine,
hand in hand,
less flaws, quicker results. So Metro 2, and besides that, like I said, Haitian CEO. The more basic way is factual disputing. You know, simply calling these credit bureaus with the right, you know, information at your fingertips. You know, knowing the laws, knowing the right words to say on the phone with the fraud department of Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. You know, just those 2 ways honestly will delete almost anything off your credit report. You know, late payments, child support,
anything. Okay. So next question, we go on the credit cards. Like, what's the difference between a secure credit card and an unsecured credit card, and like which one do you like suggest, or do you suggest both, or like you feel what I'm saying? Like, what's
I suggest both, you know, always, because secured helps you start relationships with banks. So back to like the newbie who has no credit
and all
get
of
a secured credit card the same way you would get the personal.
So what's the secured one? We're gonna start with that first. What's the secured one?
Secured card is when you deposit your own money into the bank.
Okay, so I go and deposit 500 or so.
Simple as that, and they give you a credit limit
of 500.
That's it. They match it.
Okay.
You give them $500, they're gonna give you a secured credit card.
So if I come in with 5,000, they're gonna do the same, or
same thing?
Okay.
That's exactly why you want to do it, even if you already have credit, to build relationships with more banks. Because there's no reason to be with just one bank.
I was just about to say, how many banks is too many? How many credit cards is too many?
How much money is too much? What? You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Like, what can you handle? Do you got an assistant? I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I got 11.
That's a good one.
I got 11 credit cards, and I'm okay with that.
And I seen when you posted on Instagram, you had a bunch, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Working.
But working. The reason I do that is because you never know when an opportunity is going to come, right? A lot of people miss opportunities. Why? Damn, I ain't had the money. I ain't not the risk.
Oh, okay.
People be ready to risk it, but you ain't got the money.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Man, listen. There's places I would have gone, you know, seminars and things I would have been to, but I saw the ticket price. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's 2 weeks of work.
But you went. So how what's the ticket price for that?
Well,
For the
depends.
people that's listening.
It just depends, you know, whatever you're trying to go to. If you're trying to go to something that's like a couple of days, you could pay $1,000 per person. If you're trying to go to something that's, you know, online, you know, like a virtual, you could pay a couple $100s, but the information is what it's about. In person, you know, builds relationships.
Yeah, I'd
you know,
rather
the same,
in person.
Yeah, right. The same way I'm here with
yeah,
you.
You feel me? Yeah, I'd rather
You
in
can
person.
sit down and talk and
just feel it. It's just
right,
different.
like
it's just different.
when you sit next to somebody who's made $100,000 last month,
Yeah,
not this year,
last month,
and they plan to do it again, and they're just sitting there eating the same lunch as you, and they got on, you know, just a normal t-shirt, and y'all, it's no different. You can see there's no difference. You almost sometimes feel better. You ever see somebody that's like, you know, they got money, you like, I'm better than, like, you know, I know,
no.
It's be the ego,
Yeah,
but like sometimes you know you got
like,
more talent, or like you could get there.
Trust me.
You know, so that's honestly why I like going to in-person events, because you just start to realize like there's no difference between
me and him. We're the same.
Except action.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Shout out to my YouTube, More Action Podcast. Subscribe.
More Action Podcast.
You gotta subscribe.
Go subscribe right now.
For real.
Not later, right now.
Gotta learn this information, stay up to date on everything, you know.
Got to, man. Damn it, man.
It's
for real.
It's real.
The unsecured
credit card is pretty much the bank giving you a chance with their money, right? So you had the secured card, gave them $500. They gave you the secured to match it. If you for 6 months to a year pay on time, you know, because with the secured card, it's like using your own money, you know, use that secured card to pay anything that accepts credit. Everybody always asks that question, like, what can you pay with credit? What have you tried to pay with credit? I paid my rent with credit for years. People don't even try to, like, I didn't know until I tried. There's certain things that you can pay with a credit card. If you can, use a credit card, because there's benefits for using the bank's monies first and then just paying them back.
You heard what he said? There's benefits for using the bank monies first instead of using your hard-earned cash.
That's it.
You gotta listen now.
So you start off with the secured card, which is pretty much your money, but once they transfer it into the credit, you know, form, now it's got all the benefits. You know, there's probably cash back, for example, on there, like, you know, whatever percentage it could be, 2%, 3%, whatever. Banks, you know, like to battle each other. So some bank will offer you, I'll give you 1.5% cash back, another one saying 3%, so that get both.
Yeah.
Put $50 in a personal checking account in both banks and just start a relationship. Why not, right? More banks the better. But the unsecured is money that the bank is now giving you. It's revolving credit. So if
how do you get all right for that unsecured? How are we getting a bunch of money? How do we get that? How do we get the bank to give us a lot of money?
Right.
Yeah.
It's either one or two things: the good credit score,
okay,
or the deposits, right? So
on time and all that type of stuff like that.
Say that unsecured, that secured credit card you had has been making on-time payments for 6 months. They'll convert it to an unsecured credit card, meaning that $500 you gave them, they'll give it back to you.
Because you've been paying on time for 6 months, so now they kind of trust you a little bit.
That was your initial deposit. It's like moving into an apartment. You know, hey, you put this money down, when you move out, you get it back. It's the same thing. They give you money back.
Like renting a car.
Right.
Get deposit back once you put the deposit down.
Boom. So now they gave you a limit of $1,000, but it's unsecured. That means it's the bank's money.
Yep.
You still have to pay it back
on time.
But it's the bank's money, and now you got 1,000 of it. You had 500, and it was yours. But imagine getting the 500 back in your personal account, and you got a credit limit of 1,000. Now you got technically 1,500.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to do, but if you can do the right thing and make it back, you know what I mean? That's good, you know, money to invest in yourself, you know, into a mentorship that can turn that 1,000 into 10,000. That's possible. So that's pretty much how you get to the unsecured off of the secured. And then if you want to raise the limits, always remember that the more you use the credit card, the more they're gonna give you. Because when you, with the bank specifically, don't need money, they give you more of it. So let's say I have that $1,000 credit limit now. It's unsecured. I'm about to max it out, because like I said, I got rent, I got a light bill, you know, you can pay water bill, probably cell phone,
all that on the credit card.
all on the credit card, max it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
The money that I made from work is sitting in my checking account. So I still have $1,000 because I didn't spend any money yet. I've spent the credit.
Card. Yeah,
you pay it off. You do that 2 times a month, because some people are spending more than $2,000 a month. To be honest, some people food. I don't know what you're buying, but some people are spending more than that a month, right? So why not max out $1,000 credit card and pay it off twice? Now the bank's gonna be, hey,
he paying this off at
let me give him $3,000.
You feel me?
He needs it, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's paying it off.
Yeah.
Also, remember, every 91 days, you can just simply ask for a credit limit increase. You can call them.
Every 91 days, you can ask for a credit increase. As long as you're doing the right thing, though, you have to be paying your bills on time. You feel what I'm saying?
You got to be using the credit. You know, if you're not using it, why would
then what they gonna give you some more money for?
I'll just politely say no.
Keep you at what you had.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's just a game, man. It's really a game.
So, all right, what strategies for paying off the credit card?
Strategies. Well, see, it's really simple with the credit, right? You want to look at that as opportunity because of time, right? You got obviously 30 days to pay a credit card off. So it's like, what are you doing, right? Are you working a job and you have a side hustle? What exactly are you doing? You can use that money to create more. So if you, for example, like I'm a painter, right? I'll go to the paint store and spend $100 on paint with the bank's money. I'll have it in the back of my truck. I'll go talk to a couple people. Now, because of that $100 of paint that's sitting in the back of my truck, I had the confidence to say, hey, yeah, I can prime that for you. I can paint that for you. Yeah, I'm ready right now, to be honest. It's in the back of the truck.
Let's do it.
I'm not out of pocket $100. The bank is. You know what I'm saying? Worst comes to worst, I pay that off and I lost 100. But with me knowing myself, I turned that money into more money. So really, when you want to make sure you pay things off, just have a plan. Like, don't just spend the credit card on nothing.
So basically, when you know you got, all right, you go spend 100, you know you're going to make at least 2 more 100 off that 100.
That's basically the best way to go about it. But if you're not going to do that, just honestly keep track of what you're spending on. If you know that you've been spending $1,000 on a credit card, always have $1,000 plus in the checking account to pay that off. You know, just pay attention to the due dates, to the statement dates, if you really want to try to up your score a little more, because paying your bill, paying your payment off early on the statement date will lower your utilization. Think about it. When the statement date hits, that's when they see how much credit you've used. So if you got that $1,000 credit card that's maxed out, you was going to pay it off on time. But the statement date already hit, so you look like you got 100% utilization. Your score is low. You like, damn, what I do? Well, I'm paying it on time.
You just pay it a little
bit. If you can, pay it early, you know, because then your statement will say 0% utilization. Meanwhile, you had 20 days to capitalize off of the bank's money. You know, what would you do if I gave you $1,000 right now in 20 days? You think you could bring me back $1,500?
Yeah.
Simple as that. You got to know what you're doing. You got to just have a plan. And if you're not doing a side hustle,
you got to be. I was just about to say, you got to be a hustler.
You got to, but you know, some people don't have, you know, that like, you know, I wanna build something like that. Like, you know, some people enjoy where they work. You know, they like what they're doing. So if that's the case, it's really math. You know, just track what you're spending, add it up, keep it to the side, pay it off. You know.
Okay. All right, we back from a slight break. So we're gonna get back into it with the last question. We're gonna do that over. So basically, I was asking you, does credit affect getting a house, like mortgages and loans like that, basically?
See, when you go in to get a mortgage from the bank, they want to give you that loan because that's one of the ways they make money, right? Is loaning it out to you, right? So off the interest. So whenever you go there to get a mortgage, your credit score really just determines the interest rate. If you have a better credit score, you could get a better interest rate on that mortgage you're trying to get, because the credit score shows how good you are with money in the first place. And on top of that, if your income is good for the mortgage you're trying to get, you know, that combination gets you just a better interest rate, you know, whatever that might be.
Okay, so what about if you got a lot of money but you got low credit score? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, that's good to have a lot of deposits going into a bank, because certain banks will give you money and, you know, loans, mortgages based solely off of the deposits, right? Because when you go to the bank, if you go there with, you know, $10,000, $20,000, and you make that first deposit, and then, you know, you start making withdrawals, but the next month you come back with a little bit more and what you had before, these deposits are showing the bank that you're good with money. Obviously, you know, the credit score is just one of the ways to show how good you are with money, but deposits speak for themselves. So if you have the right amount of money coming in, you could get pretty good loans from the bank with just deposits.
With the low credit score.
Low credit score. You know, certain banks, like I said, got to lend that money out to make the money. So if they can get you into a mortgage or a car for a certain price and a certain interest rate on it, so they can make money off of the loan, they're not gonna let that credit score hold you back.
Yeah.
Especially with good deposits.
Yeah, so y'all people with money out there, man, take it to the bank, man, and do something with it.
For real.
You know what I'm saying?
Open up accounts.
Yeah, go open up accounts, man. Open up credit cards. Go get you a secure credit card, unsecured credit card, whatever you can get with it. Put whatever limit on there you can afford to play with and do the right thing with. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Don't do more than you need to. You know, just know what you got. Work with it. You know, your credit score could be in the 800s with 2 credit cards. To be honest, some people get a whole bunch just to make the availability bigger. But what is it that you're trying to do with this credit? You know, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate it, man. It's been a great interview for real.
Yeah, bro.
And this just part 1. So part 2, we're gonna come back and get y'all an updated on me and him. You feel what I'm saying? Cause he's still working. I'm still working. So I ain't gonna tell y'all where I'm at right now, but y'all find out on episode 2 of learning more about credit. You feel what I'm saying? So you want to tell the people anything else before we leave off?
Credit, you know, it's just the beginning. There's a lot more after you start getting your credit score up and getting your income up. You always want to make sure that the money that you're keeping, the money that you're trying to protect, is, you know, protected the right way. You know, we got to learn more each day. You know, it doesn't stop with credit. That's really it right there.
Okay, and let them people know where to find you at on all socials.
Yeah. See, on Instagram, you could look me up, the Real Brandon J. And on YouTube, you can follow my podcast, More Action Podcast.
More action.
Yeah.
More action.
You got to take action, man.
Yeah,
you sit around, talk about something all day, but you got to do it to see the results, right?
Yep.
You know, start that business, get your credit right, you know, make more income. Do what you got to do. So More Action Podcast on YouTube, The Real Brandon J on Instagram.
And y'all already know what it is with me, man. It's Playboy Bishop, man. We here on the Recess Show. Y'all never know what y'all gonna get out of me. I done brought y'all a credit guru, man. Stop playing, man. Make sure you tap in on his Instagram, tap in on his YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell so y'all be notified when he drop gems. You feel what I'm saying? If you need gems, you need to go to his podcast, to his YouTube, because that's where everything at. Yeah, that's where the gems and all that juicy shit at, for real. So stay tuned. You know it, man. I appreciate the love, man, for sure. We out.
Peace.